Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Here I am again in my my lair, and I have just been looking at your images. Now, I thought again I'd set you a real stinker this month. I'm overwhelmed. You've really taken the challenge really well. And yes, well, fantastic images, well within the terms of the remit, and the challenge has been well taken. So yes, very good. Now, something different this month. Mo, in his wisdom, has decided to muddle them all up. Not only has he muddled them up, but he hasn't told me who took which. So part of my challenge has been to guess who took which. I think I've done it. I think I know which ones are Suzanne's. I think I know which ones are Iris's. And I'm pretty certain I know which one is Mo's. But not all of them. So let's see, shall we? Number one. The fact that the challenge was difficult is something I'm not going to apologise for. You know, I've said before many times, nothing worth doing is easy. And as a group, you've really taken this challenge to heart, and I am impressed. Image number one, quite clearly the author has seen this delicious looking texture of the bark of this tree, and he or she, and I suspect it's a she, has brought the broken branch into such a position as to position that on the a third in from the left and a third down from the top, very nearly. Now that in itself is good planning. The branch, the trunk, is coming in from the bottom right hand corner, and I would suggest that an improvement in this could be to rotate it left to right, flip it left and right, so that it comes in from the bottom left corner and up to the right. Other than that, I think it's a jolly well seen image. I'm a little concerned about the sharpness, but it's well seen and well achieved. Let's move on to number two, where the author again has used the leading line technique of coming in from the corner to bring us to the black part of this structure, which he or she, and I suspect it's he, has put very nearly on the third in from the left hand side, and not quite a third up from the bottom, 2/3 down from the top. Again, I would suggest that whilst this is well seen and it is cracking sharp, this is really pin sharp, so well done whoever produced this. I would suggest that again flipping it left to right so that the red handlebar comes in from the bottom left hand corner, and that would make an even better image. It's well produced. I love the little sprig of grass or flower behind the black part, and again it's well seen and well achieved, so great, loved it. Image number three. Number three, we have this sunken vessel, which is very well produced in monochrome, please notice, ladies and gentlemen. And monochrome, I always say, if the colour doesn't do anything for the image, then monochrome it. Put it the other way around. Only produce it in colour if colour adds something to your image. Now in this case, because it's been monochrome, it's focusing our attention upon the sunken vessel and nothing else, and that's very good. That is showing less and meaning more. So very good, very well taken. I like that a lot. I'm wondering how that would look if we turned it again, flipping it from left to right. Would it be better? I don't know. It may well be. I'm just going to enlarge it a little bit, and I'm beginning to see a little halo around the spar hanging out of the back of the boat, and this halo may indicate a little bit of over processing. But I'll speak to the author later and indicate to him, I think this is a him picture, what he might do about that. But well done, well seen, and again it's taken the challenge very well and has focused in upon less, and it certainly has more meaning. Simplicity, very, very good indeed, love it. Image number 4. Now I had problems with this one when I looked at it because it's such a good image, and I believe it's portrait orientation, so half of the circle was off my screen originally, but now I've discovered that I can actually reduce the image size and see more of it. It's very, very good. I love it. I think this is one of my selected starred photos when I was looking for the winning photo. It's pardon me, it's achieving 2 or 3 things. Number 1, we've got a frame within a frame. Number 2, we've got leading lines along the slats of this seat. And number 3, well, have I told you the 3 things that will cause me to give you extra marks? I'm sure I have. One, of course, is the photo needs to be intriguing. And this is intriguing. I'm looking through it. I want to see what's in there. A photo that intrigues the judge will get the extra marks. I'll tell you the other 2 things that get extra marks when we move on. Well seen, well taken. I love the focus of it, and it certainly ticks 2 boxes of less is more and leading lines, and for that matter a 3rd box of frame within a frame. So well done on that one, and again I suspect I know who took that one, but I won't say yet. Image number 5. I really appreciate this image very, very much. I love the way that the vignette has been added suitably. As you know, I do like a vignette. It's really something that pleases me. And we have these vessels, these dinghies, all pointing up to the sky. They almost make leading lines in themselves. And we've got the magic 3. 3 items. Let's learn from each other. 3 items in this image make a really sweet composition. Very impressed with that one. However, if I think of those boats as leading lines, I follow up, my eye follows up the blue one, follows up the white one, and they point to nothing. There's actually nothing there. And I would have loved to have seen a seagull there or something. So as it stands, it's a very good work in progress with a lovely vignette, and thank you for putting a vignette. That pleases me no end. The chain with the rusty ring and the bits of dead seaweed, how lovely, well seen. I'm not sure that the image is actually the right way up, and I've tried moving it around on my screen to make it a portrait orientation, and even to turn it entirely upside down, neither of which worked, and I think I would go with your choice of putting the ring on the 1/3 position, the chain going up to the left in this case, and once again I have to say I'm coming to the conclusion that flipping the image left to right would bring us from the left corner, more or less, well, from the ring on the left as it would be, up towards the top right corner, and that would be an improvement. We're certainly showing less, and it certainly means more. So yes, well done on that one, and again I suspect I know who took that one, and it's well seen, but I would suggest, if you can, to flip it in your software left to right, however you may process your software. Another super image is number 7. Well seen, good detail, quite minimalistic, and I like it. There's 2 things about it that capture my eye. Number 1, the horizon isn't horizontal, seems to be going downhill to the left. And number 2, we have a white stripe on the left hand side, which may indicate that it's been cropped, but crops rather over the edge of the photographed image. So have a little attention to give there. I think there's a lot of potential in this one. I'm looking at the spindle on the left with the blue paint worn away and the rust and decay showing through. I like that part particularly. I will compliment you on getting some sky in there, which isn't just pale blue or boring white. It's actually got some cloudy detail in it, so I do like that. And as far as the time to take photographs, I'm sure you know, early in the morning and late in the afternoon, the golden hour it's called, an hour after dawn and an hour before sunset. I know a lot of photographers that put the cameras away at midday. Well, we don't all have that opportunity, but nonetheless, a good sky gives you a great opportunity. There isn't bright sunlight, so that's good, and that means we don't have deep shadows and bright highlights, and a good opportunity, but it does need straightening up. We do need to get rid of the white stripe on the left hand side. For once, I'm not going to flip it left to right. I do like the ship in the background there, the tide having gone out, the boat's over on one side, and I'm beginning to feel that this is a little bit of a leading line along the axle through the gear wheel at the end there to the ship on the other side. So beautifully chosen aperture, allowing the background to drop into softness and a good depth of field from the very closest part of the axle through to the gear wheels. An image with lots of potential. Look at those nuts and bolts. Look at those gear wheels. Look at the cogs and the way they intertwine. Look at the cable. Homework, go back and do it again. Take 3, make a set of 3 photos, all to do with this whatever it is, this winch. Yeah, I like it a lot. Spent a lot of time on that photo. I like it. Image number 8. Very well positioned wedge of wood through an intriguing joint. I like that a lot, and I would point out to the viewers, ladies and gentlemen, the bright object in the bottom left corner, which clearly, being the brightest object, is taking my attention. You really wanted me to look at the wedge of wood in this interesting looking joint, and that's where I am taken when I look at the 1/3 in and 1/3 down. I would try to reduce the brightness of the wood on the left hand side, which, being the brightest object in the scene, does capture my attention. There is another photo in here, and the other photo almost misses out entirely the bright plank on the bottom left and brings my attention to the nail and what I'm calling the wedge of wood. Now, it may be that your camera wouldn't allow you to get quite that close, but certainly your computer would allow you to crop that down, try to darken down, maybe vignette, maybe otherwise, whatever software you have, and really take that bright plank out of the composition. Otherwise, very well seen, very simplistic, and well positioned and well seen. So well done on that one, and I suspect I know who took that one. Now then, here we have something red, and had the topic been something red, we'd have been on a winner. Certainly less is more, and we're looking at the nut and the bolt and the the bar going through or bolted to the red handles on this structure. Certainly less is more, and there's a lot of potential in this. What I would compliment the author for is that this is pin sharp. Well done. It is pin sharp. Love it. Dropping off into softness in the background where the handle is and where the blue bag is. Could we crop that down? Could we take it quite severely down so that the red bar comes in from the bottom left hand corner? and the blue bag is nearly entirely removed, giving us then a portrait orientation image, which would be a great improvement on what is already a potentially good image. Good choice of aperture, background dropping into softness, sharpness, pin sharpness on the subject itself, and I think that's got a lot of potential. So well done, and I almost definitely know who took that one. So well done, good improvement. Go to the top of the class. Image number 10. A shell with what looks like a pearl in what looks like a splash of water. Now, when I first looked at this, I wondered what on earth we had here. Have we got real water, or is that somehow concocted? Is it a stone slab? Is it, I don't know, the background, but it's very well chosen. I like it a lot. I have a suspicion that my screen isn't doing it full justice, because it's an upright, a portrait orientation, with the subject in the bottom right hand, third up and third in, which I like very much. I do like that a lot. Once again, I think there's a lot of potential in this photo, and if your camera would have allowed you to go in even closer so that the pearl is pin sharp, and so is most of the shell, and the water or the stone, the background drops into softness, but that would be a limitation put upon you by virtue of how close you can get to the subject. Once again, I'm going to suggest that it's flipped left to right, or rotated 180 degrees, putting the subject in the top left third. I'm not too certain about the sharpness of the shell. In fact, it does seem to me that a limitation of your camera has not allowed you quite to get quite sharp pearl and shell, which is a pity because there's a lot of potential in that. So here's your homework. Try the camera even closer. Try to choose an aperture such that the shell is pin sharp. If you could stand the shell away from its background at the aperture you choose, that background would become even softer and just merge into a very soft backdrop. I think there's a lot of potential in that. So yes, please do that again. I'd love to see that done again. Well done. I liked it a lot. And that was image 11. We're going to image 12, and this is stunning. Absolutely stunning. Love it. However, where is the white rope coming from? Why hasn't the author arranged the camera so as to bring the rope in from the bottom left-hand corner? Would have been a great improvement. As it is, I love it. It's certainly one of the images I have starred in my selection of which image to choose as the winning image. But it loses a mark by not coming in from the bottom left-hand corner, and it loses another mark by the white rope having burned out. Burning out means it's overexposed. It is hugely, it's perhaps a stop overexposed. And a stop is a doubling. So what I'm saying is that photo needs taking again with half as much light coming in, or you cook it in the photoshopping software, whatever you may use. But that's a stunning image. Could you live with that on the wall? I could. I think once it's improved and I send it back to the author for an improvement, that's an image I would willingly print and hang. I think that's going to make a super canvas. It's intriguing, gets that extra mark. So yes, I do like that. I do like that very much. Well done. Image 13. The wonderful image I'm shown here, this pastoral scene of the tree coming in from the left, almost framing the cloud on the right. It really is minimalist. I like it very much. It's the sort of image that I would willingly print and hang on the wall. I could live with that. That's a very, very pleasant image. I particularly like the it's called well, never mind what it's called. This line around the outside, which isn't bright white and it isn't black. It's grey. And being grey, it's very much in keeping with the tone of this photograph. Yeah, I like that a lot. Very impressed with that. Well done. That's another one on my list of images that I thought were in the winning category. Definitely in the winning category. Yep, like it a lot. Well done. Image number 14. The photographer has attempted to put this decaying pipe with its clamp on it on the bottom right hand third. It's not quite on the bottom right hand third, and that doesn't worry me in the least, so long as it's not in the middle. Lots of potential there. I like the choice of aperture, which has left the seaweed in softness, very slightly out of focus. That's great, that's the objective. I like the pin sharpness of the clamp and the bolt and the thread on the bolt. And we are very nearly in the position where the closest part of the pipe is pin sharp. It's just bordering on softness at the closest point. And I think perhaps it's quite a difficult topic insofar as you needed enough depth of field, therefore large F number, and therefore deep enough depth of field, and yet it would be difficult if you went to too large an F number, too small an aperture, because then the seaweed would drop into sharpness, and we don't want that. We want that seaweed to be as soft as possible. Let's look at the reverse case. If the author had chosen a large aperture, small number, remember, big hole, small number, then the depth of field would be very, very shallow. The mouth of the pipe would be dead sharp, and the bolt would be dropping into softness. The photographer has chosen the bolt in sharpness, but the mouth of the pipe is slightly soft, and the seaweed is good and soft. So quite a challenge. So what's your homework? Do it again. Choose a range of F numbers. See what works for you. Well done. I liked that. Good attempt. Image number 15, the public footpath. I like that a lot. That's very, very well seen. My eye is taken through that sign to what is clearly a footpath. Up the steps, through the gate, off to the field beyond. So it's intriguing. I'm looking into it. So it gets a tick in the box to be intriguing. I like it a lot. How could we improve it? Could we have vignetted it very, very slightly? If the vignette shows it's too much, just try a slight vignette. I think that's well seen, and I compliment the author on that one. Image number 16. Well, here we are, seaweed again, and sharp, pin sharp seaweed flotation bubbles, whatever they may be called, in the bottom right hand corner on the third. I like that a lot. Notice, ladies and gentlemen, that the author in this case has chosen to give us a square format. It's very, very unusual, but it's good. It's quite different. It's actually going back to a style of photography of a previous era, and I like it. It's quite different from the normal 4x3 that we see then through our cameras. It's been cropped down nicely, and there is a particularly well chosen aperture, F number, to give us pin sharpness on those nearest bubbles. However, as the seaweed recedes from the viewer's attention, is it going soft enough? Should that concrete on which it's standing be softer? Would a different F number have been appropriate? Homework. Go back and do it again. Choose some different f numbers, apertures, and see whether you can improve it. You definitely want to keep sharpness on the flotation bubbles closest to you and increasing softness as the seaweed goes away into the distance. One further point, ladies and gentlemen, and we can all learn from each other's photos. What about some gardening? You know what gardening means? It means, without changing the subject, picking out the weeds, picking out the flotsam and jetsam. With that little bit of straw on the left-hand side, in fact there are two, would it have been improved by picking those out? What about a little bit of straw on the top right hand? What about the other straw in the top centre? A little bit of gardening may have improved that quite considerably. Homework. Well, I've told you, haven't I? Do it again. Choose some different F numbers and do some gardening before you press the button. I like it a lot. Lots of potential. Well done. Image number 17. Now I definitely know who took this. Look at the cropping on this picture, ladies and gentlemen. That's made this picture. So we have the subject, the yellow dinghy and the two guys on the third in. I like that. My eye is brought in from the left-hand side towards the right. Some judges might say, do you want everything that's on the right? Well, I do. It is possible to crop that down so as to lose the boulder on the bottom right-hand corner, but I wouldn't. That's called a JCB. JCB, yeah. Joe Cornish boulder. Joe Cornish is a very famous landscape photographer, and he'll always include a boulder somewhere in the bottom right-hand third, so as to act as a bookmark, to actually stop, a bookend, should I say, to stop your eye from going out of the image. It's well seen, well taken, well cropped, and if I enlarge it, I'm looking at the level of photo manipulation, and it looks good to me. Yeah, looks good to me. So that's another one in my pot of winning photos. If I have to choose one photo out of this set of 30 odd, I think that's certainly in the highly commended department, if not the winner. I'll tell you which the winner is later. Image number 18. Well, now look at this. Vignetted beautifully. A stroke line, the little white line that goes around the outside, no more than perhaps 2 pixels. Beautifully processed, very well seen, and I'm seeing a little pond or a lake or a swamp in the top left hand corner, but that's not the subject. Where is the subject? What is the subject? Is it just that sort of pastoral scene? Well, maybe it is, and it achieves it, but I'm not able, my eye is searching for something to look at. It's a background. Love it. If there'd been a reed warbler or a bearded tit or some other object there, it could have been just a flower caught in the wind or a dandelion or something, just to give me something to look at. As it is, it's very, very pleasing, but I don't know what it's a photo of. It's a backdrop. It needs a subject. Beautifully processed. I compliment the author on the stroke line and on the vignetting. That's very well done. Yeah, very well done. Image number 19. Very interesting collection of growths on this piece of concrete. I can't actually see any leading lines. I can't actually see what I'm supposed to be looking at because it all looks to be sharp, and that's wonderful as a background. But what should I look at? Is there anything on any of the thirds points that I should actually focus my eye upon? So again, it's a background, and had you seen that as a background, perhaps you'd have put something quite mundane. Could have been an old shoe, or a bit of rock, or a flower, or I don't know, a dead fish. Anything at all on the third for me to focus upon where this is the background. Good background, well seen, well taken. Homework, do it again. Put something in on one of the thirds. It's a bit of progression, I think, is called for in that photo. Let's go to image 20, which again is a beautifully chosen portrait orientation of this post with some lettering and some growth over the lettering and this piece of rope. Now, it's the sort of photo that your mother would have said, why did you take a picture of that? And yet it's a photographer's photo. It's there to be taken photos of. And that's what it's for. I love the way the rope crosses over. I like very much the way that rope is sharp, where I can see it closest to me, and drops into softness as it recedes round the back of the post. The background is dropping into softness, but it's a little bit busy, and perhaps a choice of an even wider aperture, a smaller f number, would have allowed that to drop into even softer focus. So well seen, well taken. It's not going to win, but it's a goodie. I do like that. Image 21. And again we have this beautifully cropped, almost letterbox composition. It's very minimalist, with the lady and her dog in the bottom left. I'm not concerned that there are only two subjects there for my eye to focus on. I do like the way that the author has kept the waves in the photo and not been tempted, as it were, to crop out the right hand side of the photo. I just plain like that orientation and that cropping. It's very, very well done. I'm just going to look a little more closely at the lady herself. And the difficulty with silhouette photos, and I don't think this has been fiddled at all, the difficulty with silhouette photos is the danger of getting halos around the subject. And if there is one, it's almost imperceptible, should I say. So I do like that a lot. I like the composition. I like the colour choice. It's monochrome, and monochrome, as I've said before. If the colour is important in the photo, keep it as colour. If the colour isn't doing anything for your photos, then for heaven's sake, monochrome it. If you have the technology, if your camera will do it, if your computer will do it, monochrome it and see what happens. If it's better, keep it. If it's not better, fine, go back to colour. In this case, it's a very commendable monochrome image, and I particularly like the way the reflection has been retained, the reflection of the lady in the puddle on the sand there. So yes, good. Certainly in my collection of commendable photos, and I think that's a highly commended. It might even be the winner, and I'll tell you soon. Image 22. Beautifully seen spring photo, which pleases me. The sun's shining, the flowers are out, the birds are singing, and all is well with the world. However, could it have been cropped into more of a letterbox? It wouldn't be exactly the panoramic letterbox that we've seen previously, but it certainly would benefit by having the dead foliage at the top cropped off. Perhaps a third of the image taken off at the top there, giving me much more of a horizontal view, yes, I think I'd settle on cropping that off quite severely at the top. Looking at the petals and the stamen, they are pin sharp. Very, very well done. Looking at the background, it's so out of focus that it's not important. It's beautifully chosen. So in this case, the aperture, the f number, has been chosen to be high enough. I'm going to guess f16, something like that, maybe f11. Might even be f8, who knows? I might look at the EXIF data in a moment. So good choice of aperture. Dropping the background into softness, great. However, are those petals too bright? Are they burned out? Has the author managed to retain the detail in those petals? I suspect it's about a half a stop overcooked, and by choosing a shutter speed which is about a half of the shutter speed that this image was taken at, that would have reduced the light coming in and kept the petals from burning out. Beautifully taken, quite difficult to take in bright sunlight. So how should you take an image of petals on a flower in bright sunlight? Well, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, use one of those diffusing screens that David gave us. Yes. Why didn't you? I don't know. That would have softened the light hugely, taken it down a stop, and allowed you to retain the detail in the petals. Well seen, well taken, good choice of aperture. I suggest a change in the shutter speed, keeping your ISO the same, and the use of the diffusion screen would have improved that. But that's progress, and I hope, ladies and gentlemen, we can all learn from that. I've learned to remember to take my diffusion screen with me, but I know you always do when you go out on these missions. I've seen you with your tripod under your arm and your diffusion screen with you and your camera around your neck. So well done. Looking forward to seeing that taken again and improved upon. Image 23. Now these portrait orientation images are a challenge. When I first saw this, it didn't all fit on my screen until I realized that half of it was missing. And having reduced the size on my computer, I can now see what it is. So it's an intriguing photo. Now, I as a yachty know what it is, but I know other people that will look at that and they'll say, what on earth is it? Why did you take a picture of that? Well, because less is more, and that's actually very well seen. I like it. Good choice of aperture. The navigation light on the front of the yacht here is pin sharp. The foresail wrap, the blue coming from it, is good and diffused, out of focus, and the sky isn't plain blue and it isn't plain white. There's some beautifully chosen weather in which to take this photo. So I like that on a lot of points. It's intriguing, it's a good choice of aperture, and yet it has a problem. So what's the problem? Well, shiny metal. You know what we've said about shiny metal, and this shows it. This exemplifies the difficulty of taking images with shiny metal in them, and yet the author has achieved it. It's not pin sharp, it's not meant to be. That bow part on the boat is holding the picture in. It's almost a frame within a frame. I like that a lot. There's a lot about that photo. And there's a lot about boats and bits on boats that I think offer opportunities to us. So yes, good. I like it. Well done. Image 24. Very, very intriguing. And again, it's the sort of picture that your mother would have said, what on earth did you take that for? Well, because it's less is more, and it's beautifully seen. I like it. It's minimalist. It's actually modernistic, isn't it? It makes you look at it and say, what the devil is it? So on the intrigue point, I think it gets the extra mark. It's nearly in focus too, which could be improved upon. There's a stroke, the very thin line around the outside of the image itself, which is intriguing. I like that. It frames it, it holds it in, and it's not white, so it's not jumping out of the screen at me. It's been chosen to be that grey colour, which I like. And there's some corner vignetting going on, so ticks another box. Well done. I suspect I know whose that is. However, it looks like you did the stroke, that is the grey line around the outside, before you did the vignette. And if you process that image, that is to say, go back to the original, put the vignette in, and then put the stroke around it, I think that would be an improvement. Okay, homework. Go back and do it again. Get the subject sharp. It's got to be pin sharp. When you've processed it, stroke it. I love the grey colour you've chosen for the stroke. Yeah, having already vignetted it to suit. Yep, good one, good attempt. Obviously someone's been listening and you've done very well at it. I like it. Image 25. We're back to Bladerack again, if that isn't a rude word. And again, I'm struggling to see what I'm supposed to look at. The whole thing is sharp. The whole thing is intriguing because I don't know what I'm looking at, and a little bit of gardening would have helped here too. So, yeah, I suspect I know whose that is. Larger aperture, so that's a smaller f number. Bringing the brightest object, which are the floats in the Bladerack there, the seaweed, onto the third position, and allowing the rest of it to drop into soft focus. Some vignetting would improve it, and a little bit of gardening. Well seen, and lots of potential. Image 26. Ah, yes, fuzzy edges. Now I wonder whose that is. Fuzzy edges. But, ladies and gentlemen, look at it. Who on earth would have thought to take a picture of an air brick with a rusty nail? Well, we did. You did. The author did. And he or she has positioned that very nearly on the third up from the bottom. A bit difficult to actually do much else with it, but it's well seen. It's a good attempt. I still don't like the fuzzy edges, and that's not vignetting. That's just fuzzy edges. So keep taking the tablets, and that's getting there. That's getting there. Well done. Image 27, another portrait orientation, which I particularly like, and that's very well seen. Let's look at it. What have we got here? We've got a leading line from the bottom right-hand corner up through the aperture with the propeller in it to the top left-hand corner. So you straight away know what I'm thinking, don't you? I am going to ask you to flip that image left to right, so that the leading line brings me from the bottom left-hand corner. Then we've got this aperture, which is a frame within a frame, inside which we have this propeller on its shaft and its rope cutter. So I like it a lot. That's very good. How could we improve that? Could we crop about ½ an inch off of the top? That would position the aperture in which sits the propeller more nearly on the 1/3 down from the top position. If we flipped it left to right, would that be an improvement? I think so, but I'd need to see the two images side by side to actually make my mind up if it was mine. Vignetting, there is an imperceptible amount of vignetting, I suspect, and it very nearly worked. I like that a lot. What would we do with it? What else could we do with it? Could we put a stroke line around it? You know, that thin line which some other people have employed around the whole of the resulting image. I think that's another highly commended image. Might even be the winner. Could be, couldn't it? It's very well seen, very well composed, just wants a little tiny bit of post-processing just to make it perfect. So, love it, love it. Number 28. Now, there are several things that make a judge give you extra points. One is to have an intriguing photo, and another is to have one that makes the judge laugh. And this made me laugh, so you get an extra mark for that. How on earth it is less is more, I don't know. But anyway, it's well seen. I liked it. Well, thanks for making me laugh. You get an extra mark for making me laugh. Yep, good. Image 29. Now, who on earth would have seen this photo and focused upon the reflection of the trees in the windscreen of the car or the back window of the car? I think that's very well seen. Ladies and gentlemen, where does it take your eye? Are you coming in the tree trunks from the bottom of the screen? And where do you get to? Do you get to the intrigue of what's on the inside of the car? There's a reflection or some light coming through. And then where does your eye go? Do you go to that bright spot in the top right-hand corner? I'm distracted by the brightness in the top right-hand corner. How might we improve that? Well, I would suggest 1/2 an inch off of the bottom of the image anyway, and that will get rid of the the window frame. I'm suggesting 1/2 an inch off of the top of the image, which would get rid of the top of the window frame. And I'm suggesting coming in probably a good inch from the right hand side, leaving me just with the reflection of the trees in the windscreen, the back windscreen, is it? On the other hand, if we're intending the window frame to provide us with a frame within a frame, I'd like rather more of it, because we've lost a part of it on the top right hand, on the right hand edge. Definitely needs vignetting on the top right hand corner, and I don't think that would be inappropriate on the top left hand corner either. So vignette, take down that top right hand corner, decide whether you want a little more of the car window frame or less of it, and I'd like to see both of those done and compare one with the other. It's an intriguing photo, so it gets a tick in the box of being intriguing, you know. So 3 things make a judge give you extra marks. 1 is an intriguing photo. 1 is a photo that makes the judge laugh. And the other one I've probably told you already. Anyway, there we go. Well done. I like it. That was 29. Here comes number 30. Beautifully taken. Very well seen. Lovely day. Lovely lighting. What aperture did you use? Are the clouds as sharp as the, it's not wheat, is it? Reeds. Well, they very nearly are. Had you chosen an aperture which was small number, bigger hole, the clouds would have been softer, the reeds would have been just as sharp, and they will have stood out against the sky. I think that's a very well taken pastoral photo. The reeds seem to be coming largely from the bottom right hand corner, or the most dominant one is. So you almost know before I say it what I'm going to say. Flip it left to right, bringing the reeds in from the left hand side, the left hand corner. Very well seen, very well taken. If you do it again, if you get the opportunity to do that again, choose a wider aperture, yeah, faster shutter speed, and see what happens. I think that's a very well seen photo. It's not going to win, but it's certainly a very pleasant pastoral scene. We don't seem to have a 31, so we've gone to 32, and the photographer here has chosen symmetry, and the symmetric nature of this photo really delights me. It doesn't have to be on the third. The third's rule is a rule to be broken, and the photographer has broken it. They've found a volunteer, maybe it's their own hands, to hold this cone, and they've chosen such an aperture as to very nearly keep all of the cone perfectly in focus. If you look at it really closely, you'll see that the closest part of the cone is just on the edge of sharpness. And as we go down the various, what do you call them, leaves? They're not leaves, are they? I don't know, they're certainly not petals, but you know what I mean. We're going through the range of sharpness until, as we get to the bottom of the cone and to the hands, they are out of focus suitably. So we're going very well from focus to soft through to out of focus, and that's a very well chosen aperture. I think that's achieved everything that was set there in Less is More. It's not an easy photograph to take, as many of you have found in this challenge. Less is more, you've got to find out what the devil it means first. It's clearly minimalist, it's clearly showing a little of what you're looking at in the screen, and I'm just wondering whether we need to see the whole cone in this case. What would have happened if we'd cropped off the 3/4 of that cone and just shown 1/4? Why do we need hands holding it? What's wrong with plasticine? Yes, it's intriguing. I like that. I like that a lot. And I would suggest doing it again, holding the cone with some plasticine or somehow blue tack, whatever, taking the hands away, and just trying to develop an image which is 3/4 of that cone. I think there's lots of potential in that one. It's not going to win, but it's going to give you a way forward, I think, of making what is already an intriguing photo into an excellent photo. Try to make sure the closest item, the very center of the cone, is pin sharp. Allow the other petals, as I might call them, to drop into softness as they get further and further away. Stacks of potential in that one. I suspect I know who took it, but I don't really. I really do want to see, sincerely, I want to see that done again and processed in the way I have discussed, or photographed in the way I have discussed. So well done. I like it a lot. Please do it again and do show it to me. I really would like to see what you can do with that one. Well done. We seem to have missed 33, so we're going on to 34. And look at this very well spotted photograph here, where we're coming in from the bottom left-hand corner. So you know what I'm not going to say. Don't flip it, leave it alone. It's perfect. I love the composition of that. Very simplistic. It's very modern. I like it. I'm not too certain that the tiles, the blue tiles, as they reach the apex, are actually in focus any longer. And I'm going to just zoom in a little bit, and I think they're just a tad soft. But it's a minimalist, well seen, well photographed image, which is intriguing because it does make me think, well, what on earth is it? I know what it is. How could we improve it? Well, ladies and gentlemen, where is the brightest part of this image? I suggest to you it's the top left-hand corner. And I think some processing on that would tone that down considerably so as not to lose my attention. The blue triangle is bringing me in as a leading line, and that clearly is the subject of the photo. But if I follow the leading line up to the top right-hand corner, there's nothing there. So again, something there, whether it's a Coca-Cola can or an old toothbrush. Who was it took pictures of a toothbrush last time? Or was it anyway? Something there. So the leading line is bringing me up to a cotton reel, let's say, or a blue flower, or I don't know. Put something there. Tone down the top left corner and maybe put a stroke line around it. I think we're on a winner there. I really do think there's lots of potential. Makes me wonder when I say this to you, do you actually go back and redo them? Do you actually go back and try taking the same thing again? I hope you do, because there's stacks of potential in this, and you could almost do a panel of 3, couldn't you, of wherever and whatever this is, in different orientations, maybe different coloured tiles, maybe different coloured flagstones. Yeah, I like that. Stacks of potential. Yeah, here's your homework. Do it again. See if you can produce me 3 quite different ones, and pay attention to the brightest part of the image. I do like that. I suspect I know who took it, but I really don't know who it was. Do tell me, please. I shall ask Mo later. I shall break his legs if he won't tell me. Anyway, there we go. Number 35. Simplistic silhouette. Brilliant. I love it. Now, there's no improvement that I feel would be necessary. Have a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think that there's anything we could do to improve that? Of course, I hear you say, turn the camera 30 degrees. Make this these leaves come in from the bottom left-hand corner. Put a stroke line around it. Vignette the corners. Would those improvements achieve anything? Well, maybe they do. Try it. See whether it does. If it does, keep it. If it doesn't, don't. It's a very, very well chosen aperture, allowing the silhouette of these leaves to be sharp against the sky, which is clearly soft, and I like that. It's a well chosen sky. You obviously had a word with him upstairs and got the weather just the way you wanted it. You've silhouetted the subject, and I don't need to see detail in there. It's perfect the way it is. That's another highly commended. I think that's a great image. Lots of potential. You know what I'm going to say. Vignette it slightly. Turn your camera slightly. Choose even different apertures, f-numbers, to see whether you can improve it. Some judges would complain that you've blocked out, they'd say, the black on the leaves. I'm not worried about that. I think that's rather nice. You've chosen to show me a silhouette, and I like it. Yeah, it's highly commended. Well done. 36. Very well seen. Less is more. Terrific. You've even got fuzzy edges. Well, well, well. I'm just going to zoom out to see it in its full Technicolor glory. And having looked at it, ladies and gentlemen, where do your eyes go? Are you distracted by the blue sky and the washing line or whatever it is in the right-hand side? Should it be cropped out, the whole of that right-hand side, maybe 1.5 inches off of the image on the right? I still don't like fuzzy edges, and it's not vignetted, but I am intrigued by it. So it gets the tick in the box for intrigue. It's not quite vertical, so it would lose a mark. If you put that into a competition, it would lose a mark by not being quite vertical. It would lose another mark by the retention of the bright blue sky and either clouds or washing or whatever it is in the top right hand corner. So that one's cropping off, and it would lose a mark for having fuzzy edges. How to improve it? Straighten it up, crop it out, stroke it, and I think you've got something that's in the realms of highly commended. It's not going to win, but it's good. I like it. It's well seen and it's well taken. Well, hello again. And what a superb set of images they were. So it was hard. I whittled it down to 4 to choose the winning image. And from 4, I really couldn't get it any shorter, any smaller. But I have done so. And it's a clear winner, a totally clear winner. And I'm sure that you will agree with me that the winner is... I will announce it.